in Pennsylvania. Nailed the pronunciation, hopefully. You're on with Jamie and Jenna.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, Jamie and Jenna. How are you all today?
Awesome.
I'm Hitchens today.
I concur.
Thank you.
Okay, now I have to just keep drinking more. So it says here that you can prove a higher power exists.
Yes, and
Cool.
what I'm going to say is I support the agnosticism, and I wanted to start by quoting two little things first so we can kind of get on a similar page. One is I think it should be the agnostic credo, and it's a Native American quote, and it's by Chief Whitecloud. And it's, "Your religious calling was written on the plates of stone by the flaming finger of an angry God. Our religion was established by the traditions of our ancestors, the dreams of our elders that are given to them in the silent hours of the night by the Great Spirit and the premonitions of the learned being. It is written in the hearts of our people. Thus, we do not require churches, which would only lead us to argue about God. We do not wish this. Earthly things may be argued about with men, but we never argue over God. And the thought that white men should rule over nature and change its ways following his liking was never understood by the red man. Our belief is that the Great Spirit has created all things, not just mankind, but all animals, all plants, all rocks, all on earth, and all amongst the stars. With true soul for us all, life is holy. But you do not understand our prayers when we address the sun, moon, and winds. You have judged us without understanding, only because our prayers are different. But we are able to live in harmony with all of nature. All of nature is within us, and we are a part of all nature."
I like Native American prayers.
Me too. And so I think that should almost be the agnostic credo, because it's like, hey, we don't have a specific religion and a dogma for you to follow, but you're one with everything, not just everything that is good or everything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I mean, my sort of thing is that there are religions that feel that. Sorry to cut across you, but that doesn't. If by agnostic you mean a person that doesn't take a stance on the existence of a God, that is saying something like you are one with everything is a factual claim, and if that was necessary to belong to a group, you could even call it dogma. But I also like the quote, but that's a parade I'm going to rain on, so call me rain god.
Oh, no, it's all right. Well, I thought agnostic meant you just do not have a religion. That's what I
okay.
Well, agnostic can mean different things depending on who you're talking to.
It gets used in a few different ways. There's people online that insist on the philosophical usage. There's people that want to use it in the colloquial way that I tend to use it when I'm discussing things, on the streets of atheism. Wow, I'm already embarrassed that I did that. I thought I could feel no shame. Because
I'm sorry.
Because the way we kind of use it here is one of two binaries to describe a belief in God, usually, because there's theist and atheist, having a theology, not having a theology. And then there's Gnostic and agnostic, having knowledge and not having knowledge. But we use that to distinguish between knowledge and belief. So a person can believe that something is true without knowing that it's true. That tends to be the agnostic atheist versus the Gnostic atheist versus the agnostic theist versus the Gnostic theist. So an atheist that will say that they know that there's no God is Gnostic, that they don't believe but don't know, agnostic. A theist that doesn't know but believes is agnostic. A believer that says they know and therefore also believe would be a Gnostic theist. And that was a very long way of giving all the examples of the thing that I explained. But
there's a chart you can look up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for the illumination in that department. I would say I'm a Gnostic theist. I guess would be
okay.
I think that is what I would be.
You are a Gnostic theist, meaning you know that there is a God and you believe it.
Yeah, I'm a Gnostic theist, but I don't follow any one path, so I guess I thought, in that sense. I don't know if there's... So have you all are you familiar with the Solvay Conference of 1933 with Bohr, Einstein, Schrodinger, and
the what
many other
conference?
gentlemen?
Sorry?
The Solvay Conference.
I have not
I'm
heard
not good
of it.
with names.
Is this the name of a European town?
Yes, it's a place where they hold a conference of, people of that, scientific caliber or.
Okay.
But in 1933, Bohr, Einstein, Schrödinger, and a lot of other these gentlemen in the field of subatomic engineering and other things got together, and basically the summation of their conference is that they came to the conclusion that our thoughts are creating reality, but there's a force outside ourselves that is greater than ourselves that is also responsible for creating reality. And I'm not saying that's any kind of proof.
Hold on, real quick, because let me clarify. Do you mean that the scientific facts that they concluded should have led them to that? Because that's not the thing that Einstein believed.
Well, and this is what I'm saying is that that's the closest that science has ever come to saying that there's a God. That they never said there's thing of the God.
So again, sorry to jump in here again, because let me just clarify, because most of the aspects of the conference from 1933 are entirely unknown to me. However, there are often claims about Albert Einstein believing in Jesus and praying the rosary, whatever, which are not there, because when he uses the word God, he's referring to Spinoza's God, and he certainly didn't say anything about the universe exists because humans think it does. Reality is created by thoughts. So I'm sort of wondering at this point whether we should go into the why do you think that that's a thing that was concluded? Well, here, we'll start with that. What led you to believe that that's what they were saying?
What led me myself to believe that is, one, I died and came back, and of course, when I got run over by a train when I was
I'm sorry to hear
22.
That. I'm glad you survived.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful for it because of what I learned and the knowledge that I obtained to actually share with humanity. And here's the thing: when I came to, if I came out of a coma, some of the nurses took me up on the helipad, and they're like, "Hey, we wanted to talk to you. We couldn't talk to you inside. We wanted to say, hey, by the way, you died and came back, and you should feel grateful to be here, and that there's a purpose for you." I'm like, yeah, I'm sure I did. I lost all my blood, and that would be natural. And they're like, no, you were in the locker, and then came back. I'm like, okay, a little freaked out, but then I'm just like, okay, well, that's that. But, having an experience when I died and came back, prior to that point, I actually had, been a natural adept, I would say. I'd made my own pendulums and used them to diagnose people or do those kinds of things. But I wasn't really believing that there was a higher power. Actually, at that time, I think it was more my ego, and I thought it was, myself, just me as the higher power, or abilities of humans, a psychic ability.
So quick aside, because I mean, I'm not entirely certain what you're referring to, though I have some context, but particularly for the viewers at home, when you say you diagnose people with pendulums, can you just briefly address that so that there's some context behind what you're claiming to be able to do? Okay, so what I'm able to do, and this is the thing, is you're able to use a pendulum, and you're able to connect to the omniscient consciousness and ask it information which is not me deriving it psychically or me just guessing or me being like, there's someone in the room with an M or an R. Like, it's literal to the point where I have a chart book where I can say, this is your pH, this is your source of your condition, or this is where, your toxicity or your allergy, because the chart has to be expansive enough to include all the options that it could be, or then, the pendulum can also then at that time notify you that, no, this is, that's not here, but there is something you need to locate. So let me just ask this really quickly. So one, I don't know if there's a specific name for this practice. Do you? As this is a quick aside, there's a number of names. Give me the most common one, so I can Google it. So I guess some people would call it someone would call it dowsing, which you're not using a dowsing rod. Some people will call it scrying, but that's actually more where you're trying to tell the future. Okay. So it's using a pendulum is what I would, penduluming is, I guess. I'm working on my Google Foo, so I should be able to find it. So, but really quickly, because you said you have a chart book, or you have a chart that you use, and you use the pendulum to get you some sort of input that you then use to find the answer in the chart. Is this a chart that you created?
I have created my own charts, but there's other charts that other people have created. I can give you the name of the chart. There's one by
hold on.
Will
hold on, because I'll Google foo, and I'm trying to be a little bit time conscious because we have a hard stop today. But because one of the things that you said is that the chart, you have to have an extensive chart so that it covers all the options.
Well,
do you believe that right now human beings have created or have from a higher power a chart that, like if you're diagnosing someone, a chart that includes a description of every possible illness? Well,
and this is what I would say is, but I can narrow it down. Like I was at a hippie festival and there was a girl who was overdosing on a substance that I didn't even know, which substance it could possibly be, and I didn't have a chart book with me. So I was able to still narrow it down by communicating with the omniscient consciousness and asking it a series of questions and getting yes or no answers, being like, okay, is it this? Is it this? And start narrowing it down. And there's even, it's not like the Ouija board or anything, but even if you had to, you can ask it to spell things out for you.
So,
and that's the point, though. If there is a force that is real, it should be able to communicate us in real time. I can even diagnose your automobile.
And in modern
English.
Exactly.
Thank you. Right. So if not, it's all smoke and mirrors. To me, I agree with you.
Your beliefs seem more consistent with reality than some other common beliefs that people call in with. So we're being very sort of time conscious here. I think that among other things, you should also call into the ACA show Truth Wanted, which is excellent. Dan is great. That's the host. It's on Friday. It's the same number. If you Google Truth Wanted or search it on YouTube, it should be one of the top ones listed. But the note here, because I want to try and jump the gun here a little bit. The note here says that you can prove that a higher power exists. Is your proof your ability to perform these tasks with a pendulum?
It's not only that I'm able to discern things that a conscious mind could not know or an intuitive mind just couldn't know. It's also that, like, I did get, because this is how much I think exactly like you guys do, and why I support it, is that the logical mind still says, cognitive dissonance still says, okay, well, that's still just your subconscious mind moving that object, and the subconscious mind knows things the conscious mind can't know, and maybe you're just picking it up. So then I even invented a device or a stand to where, okay, it's not, I just touched the top of a pendulum, I'm not even holding it now. And so the object still moves. And you could still say, and that's why I don't, not deny other people's view or try to change them or convert anybody. You get what I'm saying? But I would like to empower people because I think, it is our higher self. And the Zohar, I don't normally quote much, but this is one of the valuable things I did find in some scripture. The Zohar says that we are to finish creating creation. Bob Marley and Peter Toshko said, we know when we understand a mighty God is a living man. And so what I'm saying is that when we connect with that higher self, the iron omniscient consciousness that we're all a part of, that is all matters a part of, whether we want to judge it as good or bad or whatever, that's something humanistic that we are doing that, actually I think takes us further from God. So I don't necessarily agree with the gentleman who was speaking earlier about that, and if we're talking about vibratory frequency, we could bring up Royal Raymond Rife, who cataloged, the exact frequencies at which certain illnesses could be terminated, viruses.
So
there is, and Dr. Emoto's work where he showed the geometric shape
that's in the water.
Say the word love, that, it actually creates a vast geometric pattern, snowflake pattern in the ice crystal that is formed. So, in some sense, I do agree, that, hey, vibration plays a part in it, but I think that, all things, whether we, want to judge them as good or bad. And I even think that some of the reason maybe some of the Christian theology was made up is to, like Robin Williams, Where Dreams May Come, is I believe that it was to actually try to help people that they deemed too unintellectual to reason with them and empower them to not create themselves a hell to take themselves to. And
so that is actually a really interesting thought. And I'm sorry to jump in here, Thoth, or is that, I don't know if Thoth-Astrian is your full first name. I'm sorry to jump in here, regardless of what your name is. So you're touching on a lot of things that I would at very least want to Google and get a little bit of background on. I don't know whether you are a Reddit user or a Facebook user, or whether you like our president, only use Twitter or whatever. But I think it's possible to call back in. I know if Eric is in this chair, he's not as much a fan of these calls as I am. But is it possible for us to continue this conversation, either a little bit on Reddit in between calls or for you to call back next time? Because there's a lot of things on here that I need to, refresh my memory to address. Or,
yeah, and one of the other things I was going to say, too, is that I would like to actually maybe communicate with you through email or Instagram or whatever, and actually set up a series of tests that we can do so we can show that, and then instance, but that's the thing, too, is one of the reasons I believe, James Randi, the Randi guy who...
$1 Million Prize. Yeah, James Randi.
Yeah, the $1 Million Prize guys. The reason I believe so many people failed and that they had so problem finding people is that literally the energy of money blocks that connection. And that literally when you're doing things for profit, for show, or for whatever, you actually have trouble. Because actually, as a Reiki master, teaching people how to use energy to heal, that you're literally, your motives, your intentions are wrong. So if someone's like, yeah, I want to be famous for doing this, or I'm a psychic and I know what's going on in your life, you're not actually connecting to the consciousness. That's your ego talking, wanting something. So that's why I believe there's been so much failure. But my point is, if it is real, then you could teach it to anybody. It's not a special power that just one person has.
I think that's probably good, right? Like when people that promote memory sport do that, one of the things that they said is they wanted to teach, I think at the time they said Britney Spears because they had no respect for Britney, but they said we want to teach Britney Spears to do it so that people will know anyone can do it, which is rude. Leave Britney alone. But yeah, I think that there are skills that are natural that humans have that can be developed. Is that statement that I just said is something that I think is true, that we can both agree is true. Sorry, I do have to move on. I do want to continue this conversation with you. If you can reach out on Facebook or email or Reddit, that would be fantastic.
I don't have Facebook or Reddit. I do have do you have an Instagram? I do have an Instagram.
I do have an Instagram, and you can find me at Jamie the Heathen.
Jamie, I'm sorry, what was that last part?
So Jamie the Heathen, like the name of the show.
Oh, Jamie the Heathen. Awesome. Okay, sorry. Your phone broke up. Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. By the way, too, is I want to say y'all are far from heathens. You're beautiful people spreading, trying to spread love and light, dude. Because, that's the point is we want people to have a genuine connection if it's real. If it's real, there should be no problem challenging it. And we can't just refer to dogmatic scriptures that are a couple thousand years old that are based off of pirated scriptures, that were aimed to convert people and steal them from other, faiths. So, I mean...
I think I think that the end of this call, we had way more agreement than I thought we were gonna. But I'm gonna...
And then I will get in touch with you on Instagram.
Yeah, get in touch. And thanks for calling in. And I hope that, your vibratory levels are at maximum, although that would have been a better thing to say to the last caller. I hope that you have a good rest of your day. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for calling in, Thoth.
You got that one.